Hello everyone, welcome to another video here on the channel. I kindly ask those of you who haven't subscribed yet to go ahead and press the subscribe button. Also, leave a like if you enjoy the content and feel free to leave a comment below. Today's topic is about the false simplicity of women on Instagram. For quite some time now, I've observed that especially on quieter days like Sunday or Monday night, it's uncommon for a woman to head out of town on a Friday or Saturday. On more neutral days, those calm and peaceful days, they tend to share some messages that they often repost from pages filled with little phrases about love, gratitude, resilience, blogging, and so on. Some individuals even take the time to write and post their own messages, but the majority end up reposting what they come across. These are people who appreciate the simple things in life, who enjoy spending time with others, who sit on the sidewalk with a cup of acai and chat all afternoon long. People who laugh easily are those who enjoy simple and humble things in life, without any need for luxury, ostentation, or glamorous living. So, this channel operates by using stimuli and rewards found in the environment. We do not make moral judgments, nor do we delve into the small hypocrisies that every human being possesses. I'm afraid that everyone listening here, like all humans on the planet, has these little hypocrisies. A bit of hypocrisy, isn't it? I'm not here to problematize that because nobody's perfect, right? We also have errant and contradictory behaviors. However, I'm analyzing the ones with a significant impact, right? In both the medium and long term, okay? So, what might those impacts actually be? Women who engage in these errant behaviors from a young age, starting around 5, and continue these behaviors into adulthood, reaching their peak at around 25, often face challenges. As they move past 30, which is something we are currently observing with women who have reached 30 and remain single, they tend to become individuals who can be extremely problematic within society. Not only for them, but for those who get depressed, who demand from the state, who blame God and the world, never owning up to their mistakes. This contradiction in today's theme, with its fake simplicity and pseudo-humility of women, is one of the silliest things I've seen. Among the many absurdities on Instagram, this one stands out to me. But what exactly do you mean by that? The woman shares a photo of her weekend spent on a yacht, and then another weekend she's enjoying sushi, sipping on gin and tonics, and indulging in everything else. I'm not here to criticize material possessions or desires, because I too am quite fond of both money and material things. However, I don't want to be hypocritical when it comes to appreciating the simple things in life that truly matter, especially when it comes to the opposite sex. Of course, these simple joys in life are important. Consider how many family Christmases you experience, how often you embrace your dad, or hug your mom. These are the kinds of things that are obvious. Everyone understands their value, so there's no need to post about them. Those laughs shared with your childhood friends, your high school buddies, that's another obvious thing. However, the issue is that people post about it in a romantic tone, in a tone that leans more towards eros or love. This approach doesn't work at all. In fact, women find these simple aspects of life in love to be quite off-putting. Because what there are more of is a simple guy, a humble guy, a guy who is willing to take what she likes, who would do anything for her. Attitude alpha, Miguel, he uses a really interesting term for those guys who find themselves stuck in the friend zone. These guys who make up about 80 to 90% of men lack sexual abundance because they possess a scarcity mindset. I think it's fantastic, this term that Miguel uses, the scarcity mindset. These men will go to any lengths for a girl they like, truly anything, because they believe she might be one of the very few, perhaps the only one, with whom they have a chance. They lack the abundance mentality that is essential. He can have sex whenever he wants, right? That he will have a woman he desires, whenever he desires her. This is true for only about 1, 2, or at most 5% of men in Brazil. So, what is more common is men offering what women claim they like. Sitting down for an acai at an ice cream parlor, in a cinema, and all those things, but in reality, women are repulsed by this. They are completely disgusted by it, as if they were going to see an Adam Sandler or a Leonardo DiCaprio doing that in a movie, those amor simples or a global soap opera, which they absolutely love. But it's the actor, the super alpha, the standout, even if portraying a poorer character, their playfulness doesn't truly accept that. A key example of a character influencing stimuli and rewards was Christian Grey from 50 Shades of Grey. Anyone not understanding the Christian Grey effect on women's society will be lost about what women truly desire. This false simplicity has truly captured my attention because you never actually see it in practice. Those girls who claim they enjoy sitting in a bar, sipping on a large beer and eating torresmo with their friends, they do that indeed. But when they are with the guy who's taking them out, it's a different story. Anyone with some experience knows that women's gossip and all of that tends to leak out eventually, just like men's gossip does too, right? You know, there are two things that women gossip about, men gossip about, and I've already mentioned them 1,000 times here on the channel. If you're a beautiful woman and a guy has been with you, he's going to tell as many men as possible. If he hasn't said anything, it's because you're ugly. There's no such thing as eating quietly. There's only eating quietly when the woman is ugly. But there are two bits of gossip that women do a lot with each other, and it ends up getting to one of them. I'm not discussing it here because sometimes she tells a friend about her boyfriend, then that friend tells her boyfriend and it spreads. Like when a guy's a cheapskate or has small feet, I won't mention it here because YouTube might censor it. Those are two types of gossip that women engage in, alright? It's either when the guy disappoints them too. So when the guy has a small situation, when he's aroused or when he gets intimate, the woman will definitely discuss it. Just as men often brag about their experiences with very attractive women. That's the hypocrisy between the sexes, and there's no changing that reality. So aim to have what they call a simprao, that well-known simprao with these women. Men attempt to portray a man who truly appreciates the smaller joys in life when you're with a woman, and you'll notice something. She'll likely vanish the moment you take her somewhere modest, perhaps to a more serene spot, like enjoying acai on the sidewalk. Women generally dislike that. I've mentioned this countless times, and they say it too. But why do they behave this way? It really doesn't matter. You could choose to put Fernanda Lima, Fatima Bernardes, Anita, or any of these women as ministers or even as presidents. You can consider the most feminist women you know, right? Joe, all these women in the executive positions, they are the ones making all the laws. Women will never allow any behavior that shows promiscuity or lust to be exhibited, okay? It's one thing for them to take photos and all that, but when they use words, when they counter-argue or respond, when they're exposed, they're always humble, always conservative. None of that changes, okay? So no matter how feminist and promiscuous society becomes, even the woman who sets the standards or leads the way, 10 pictures of her ass a week, she'll end up saying that she likes simple things, that she doesn't care about money, that she likes men who make her laugh, right? That's typical female jargon, right? So now there are more clowns in Brazil, right? So why don't these women stay with this bunch of guys? What's more common in Brazil is a funny guy, a joker, silly, cheerful, right? These women I hate, they don't like that, okay? They like the super alpha, mysterious, rich guy. So if you see a woman giving a shit about this kind of guy one day, these guys who are a bit below, it's because she's past 30, okay? So they will pursue her throughout their entire lives, I mean literally all their lives, as long as she remains young. As long as she possesses youth, beauty, and fertility, they will chase after super alpha. Then, when they can no longer get away with that, they will attempt to go for the jerks, those middle-class jerks. However, these middle-class jerks are beginning to become aware, and then she will have to lower her standards even further, which is when I believe they might not accept it. And then comes the significant holocaust of those who are stranded, right? Because you see, there's a certain level of being a captain bitch that women are willing to accept. There's a particular level that's considered acceptable, and if it's below that level, she won't accept it even when she's 50. But that's perfectly fine. So, this false image of a happy, simple girl who is content with little things hasn't really caught on. Women don't want to just drink acai on the sidewalk, okay? They enjoy going to expensive restaurants, they appreciate nice things, and they like having expensive handbags, alright? Just as we don't get intoxicated by inner beauty, men aren't drawn to it, they prefer attractive, hot women. But here's the thing, right? I've mentioned it countless times in the videos, men aren't seeking a relationship, just a beautiful body. The big difference is that men are less hypocritical than women in this aspect. However, when it comes to relationships, men are more hypocritical than women, as I've already mentioned regarding power, business, and everything else. You'll notice more hypocrisy from men in various areas of society. But when it comes to love, men don't idealize relationships with promiscuous, attractive, or carefree women. He only desires something temporary and short-lived. Regarding dating, he won't focus solely on the girl's beauty unless he is extremely handsome and exceptional. Men tend to be far more realistic about dating than women. Even if he desires the most beautiful women in society, he is hypogamous in that particular aspect. If he's going to enter into a monogamy, he'll accept someone of a lower level, not women. The woman's problem isn't that she has a desire, an erotic dream about a rich hustler. It's that she really wants to convert these guys and the rich account doesn't close. So don't fall for it, okay? A woman who tells you that she likes simple things, doesn't care about cars, that's all a lie, okay? Because who really... Can you think of another woman who fits that description? Yes, right? It's quite rare, but such individuals do exist, okay? Don't focus too much on exceptions and unique projects, and it's not about being late in life, okay? But those very, very few who are like that, they don't feel the need to express it verbally, okay? You'll notice it through their actions, not just their words. So every guy watching this must have seen on Instagram countless times those women who are sharing photos on yachts, in Joreira Internacional, and in high-end clubs, correct? A glass of wine, maybe a gin and tonic, they come over and mention they've had a pleasant conversation and enjoy the simple pleasures in life, That's quite unfortunate on Sundays, isn't it? It's really unfortunate for them to share that, and Monday as well. This is something incredibly obvious and blatant. In my videos, the comments often affirm that everything I'm saying is true, because women are witnessing it themselves. It's not that I'm the sole owner of the truth, rather I'm taking the truths we observe on Instagram, bringing them here, and providing explanations for why these behaviors occur. She behaves this way to avoid appearing self-centered or superficial, even though she actually is self-centered and superficial. This behavior is more closely related to the inherent nature of females rather than a personal shortcoming. Women have evolved to adapt to being with men who have more resources. Therefore, much of women's hypergamy and promiscuity is not a moral failing. Women are not inherently better or worse because of it. I recommend subscribing to a channel called Coruja do Carvalho Ocal. It has a great video on how women use dissimulation and lies to adapt to men conquering tribes. These lies, these little deceptions, are more about evolution than being bad. However, just because it's evolutionary doesn't mean you have to fall for it, as it will still make your life miserable in the same way, alright? You might fall for it and believe you found the ideal girl, that perfect girlfriend, the one who doesn't care about material things, and so on. Even though there are some alternative girls out there, they can be hypergamous too. If an alternative guy comes along who's cooler, more educated, or more desirable than you, she'll likely leave you. Do you understand? The false simplicity that Instagram presents is growing significantly, and I'm noticing it quite a lot these days. They're also trying it out now, like what's going on outside the story, how are you doing, that little phrase like, hey man, let's engage more with the real world, that idea. Instagram is a deception. They're now attempting to clarify what numerous scholars have been highlighting for many years, that this is an enormous deception, this solipsism, which involves you taking the value of the virtual market and believing that it's actual life. Years later, women now think they're intellectuals when they speak. And then, how is it that you're out of the story? Life isn't like Instagram. The most wonderful things in life are actually done offline. I don't know what it is, but we need to live life and truly enjoy those precious moments, right? That idea, it's kind of like socialism, isn't it? That concept where everyone is considered equal, right? We should enjoy the moment without any differences and all that, even though they are the ones who create the most distinctions, proportions, and levels among people by only pursuing those who truly stand out. So all this excitement, all these prepackaged phrases about simplicity, sitting on the sidewalk laughing and men who laugh, it's all just a lie. It's all like that, and you don't see any verification of that with reality at all, okay? Because nearly all the women who post this are actually stranded, they're single, and if you look at the directories of these women, right, the proof is in finishing the record I'm talking about, their direct messages. There are tons of guys out there, not just poor or unattractive ones. Even if most of these guys are what's left for women wanting to be keys, many won't accept it. There are plenty of guys on their level, and even some who aren't blue pill. Sometimes a guy is genuinely interested, or he's a purple pill trying to grasp the game, knowing it's flawed but hasn't completely given up. There are guys out there, even above their level, they're not accepting it because they're aiming for the moon. Women on Instagram, hypergamy has always existed. Women have always wanted the guys at the top. But now with this Instagram thing, we're living in an unprecedented situation. There's never been a woman in the six figures who wants an A-grade footballer. A girl, I've had a lot of comments here on YouTube from guys saying that in the outskirts, in the favelas, there are women after millionaire doctors. So it's something that doesn't exist in today's hypergamy, okay? Hypergamy has always been around, but today's version is unmatched. So don't be fooled, alright? Women aren't fond of simplicity or humility, nor do they appreciate inexpensive places, okay? They don't find humor in life's small details. They prefer extravagance, desire material possessions, and most importantly, they enjoy proving to other women that they're superior and capable of attracting wealthy men. Hugs to all.